From the heart of Yerevan, this is CivilNet's Daily News Digest. Here are the top stories for Monday, February 10. An Azerbaijani soldier is killed on the line of contact, while the Armenian side says that the ceasefire regime was maintained. Also, mandatory pension plan protests spread to other cities in the country. Plus, Angela Merkel encourages Turkey to face its own history. And later, Istanbul Armenian writer and intellectual Sevan Nisanyan talks to Civilitas Foundation director Salpi Ghazarian while on a furlough from prison. According to the Defense Ministry in Baku, an Azerbaijani soldier was killed on the line of contact between Karabakh and Azerbaijan on February 7. Arzdrun Hovhannisyan, the spokesman for the Armenian Ministry of Defense, was quick to respond, saying that there were no new skirmishes or reports of violations on the line of contact. He said, quote, "No such incident was registered on the Armenia-Azerbaijan border over the last 24 hours. The Armenian armed forces continue to observe the ceasefire," end of quote. The U.S. co-chair of the OSCE Minsk group, who has been actively tweeting about the conflict, posted a comment on his Twitter account, quote, "Media report the death of an Azerbaijan soldier along the border with Armenia. What happened to the Olympic truce?" End of quote. Prior to the start of the Olympics, Armenia and Azerbaijan had pledged to observe an Olympic truce for the duration of the Games. This is the third Azerbaijani soldier that has been killed since the upsurge of ceasefire violations following an Azerbaijani commando raid on Armenian positions in Karabakh on January 20. Last week, the spring session of Parliament kicked off after a prolonged break. While the four opposition factions have seen most of their legislative initiatives blocked by the ruling coalition, they attempted to raise issues which they say have subordinated the country's sovereignty to questionable decisions and deals. Last week, the opposition kept up pressure to oppose the pension law reform and the Russian-Armenian natural gas deal. However, the ruling Republican Party of Armenia continued to block all of their initiatives in parliament. The opposition tried to pass a proposal to create an ad hoc committee to discuss and determine the constitutionality of the Russia-Armenian natural gas deal. However, it was quashed by the ruling coalition. The ruling coalition went as far as to propose and then push through parliament changes to the ad hoc vote counting committee, effectively neutralizing the opposition's influence. As tensions simmer in the country, many feel that the behavior of the Republican Party is creating further divide. Armen Rustamyan of the ARF said, quote, "Taking advantage of its status, the parliamentary majority is obstructing and impeding the process." End of quote. Regarding the consolidation of the opposition forces, Naida Zorabian of the Prosperous Party was quoted as saying, "We have a number of very serious issues on our joint political agenda and are trying to move forward with small steps." The protests against the mandatory pension law spread to the cities of Alaverdi and Vanatsor over the weekend. On Saturday, February 8, hundreds of citizens rallied in the northern cities of the country to protest the reform and urge employers not to deduct the 5 to 10% deductions from their employees' salaries. Members of the Dem.am movement and the Nikol Akhbalyan Students Association from the capital, Yerevan, joined the protesters. CivilNet's crew was in Vanatsor over the weekend and streamed the rally live on our website. Germany urges Turkey to face its history. According to the Asbarez newspaper, German Chancellor Angela Merkel told Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan that, quote, "Turkey must come to terms with its history. We cannot compare the Armenians living in Armenia with the Armenians who were forcibly dispersed around the world." This exchange took place after Erdogan, who was on an official visit to Germany, warned that Merkel and her ruling Christian Democratic Union Party must be cautious about the upcoming centennial of the Armenian genocide in 2015. He reportedly said, "We are aware that in the coming year there are budgetary allocations in your country for the 100th anniversary of the 1915 event. I recommend that you address this issue more carefully and caution your party about any allocations." Merkel responded by saying that Turkey must open the border. Prior to Erdogan's visit to Berlin, Erika Steinbach, a member of Merkel's party, had said, quote, "I urge Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan to stop denying the genocide of Armenians and Assyrians by the Young Turk government of the Ottoman Empire 99 years ago," adding that it is high time for Turkey to apologize for the descendants of the victims of the first genocide of the 20th century. She went on to say, "It is Erdogan's duty to face the truth nearly 100 years after that terrible crime and ensure that Turkish textbooks do not distort this part of Turkish history." Istanbul Armenian writer and intellectual Sevan Nisanyan was charged, tried and sentenced to 2 years in prison for illegally constructing a small cabin on his property in Şirince, just south of Izmir, Turkey. He began his 2-year sentence on December 20, but is currently out of prison for a 1-week furlough. He spoke to Salpi Ghazarian, the director of the Civilitas Foundation, about his life inside and Turkey's current political crisis.
The evolving situation in Turkey, and I don't know that I should ask you this given your legal status, but the evolving situation in Turkey has made for some great public debates, writings, discourse. Is that discussed on the inside as well?
Oh, absolutely. It's the main topic, and it's on every television channel. And obviously, we have 300 people in the jail who don't have anything better to do, so they discuss politics.
To watch the full interview, you can click on the link on your screen or go to civilnet.am. And also from Turkey, Mahir Zeynalov, an Azerbaijani journalist who works for Today's Zaman, left Turkey after reports of a deportation order against him. According to the paper, the government order to deport Zeynalov came after the Prime Minister's Coordination Center, following comments on Zeynalov's Twitter account criticizing Turkey's government and Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan about the graft scandal that has stirred controversy in the country. The Azerbaijani journalist is now on a list of foreign individuals who are barred from entering Turkey under a law number 5683 for, quote, posting tweets against high-level state officials. In a statement, the OSCE said that Zeynalov's deportation is, quote, a further setback for the dire state of media freedom in Turkey. Over the weekend, Turkish riot police clashed with hundreds of demonstrators in Istanbul who were protesting new laws tightening government control of the internet. The Turkish parliament approved the bill that will allow Turkey's telecommunications authority to block websites without a court ruling. It also forces internet providers to store data on activities by web users for 2 years and then make it available to authorities. According to the BBC, Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan has been openly critical of the internet, calling Twitter a scourge and condemning social media as the worst menace to society. CivilNet's Diana Muradova and David Havedisyan were in Istanbul and filed this report.
Daha başlangıç mücadeleye devam.
What are you demanding? What do you want? What are you shouting?
They are trying to ban our internet. So they put some protections. They call protections. But it's not protections. They get a censorship. Our liberties, our freedom.
What you saw there were some very dramatic images. Our crew will be following the events as they unfold in Turkey. To watch CivilNet's full report, you can follow the link on your screen. An Armenian physician was posthumously awarded the Righteous Among the Nations Award by the Jewish Yad Vashem Institute Museum on February 4. Harutun Khachadurian was a military physician during World War II and is accredited with saving many Jewish lives during the Holocaust. His granddaughter, singer Anna Khachadurian, accepted the award on the family's behalf. Yad Vashem established the award in 1963 to honor all those non-Jews who saved Jewish lives during the Holocaust. 22 of those who have been awarded the Righteous Among the Nations Award are Armenian. And here's a bit of interesting news for all you food lovers out there. In CNN's Aiming for Gold series about the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics, a piece was published entitled Dacha, Chacha, and a Gay Bar, 9 Ways Sochi Surprises. What are some of those surprises? Well, restaurants and bars are apparently smoke-free. Anyone who's anyone and can afford it owns a dacha there. That Sochi has gay bars, although according to Mayor Anatoly Pakhomov, there are no gay people in Sochi. And what might be interesting for some of you is that the cuisine of the city includes quite a bit of Armenian influences. The piece says, quote, with Armenians accounting for 20% of the city's population and close proximity to Georgia, Sochi offers an impressive sampling of cuisine beyond the dill and sour cream of traditional Russian fare. So, if you're in Sochi these days or plan to go there in the future and want to find authentic Armenian food, you can go to the Kichi Armshensky Dvor, where chefs will make wood-fired lavash bread and clay pot stews. The restaurant is part of the largest private museum of Caucasian artifacts and history that were collected by local ethnic Armenian historian Edward Kolodjian. The exchange rate is up on your screen as we take a look at your forecast. It's going to be a partially cloudy day in Yerevan today with a high of -1 and a low of -6. Gyumri, the second largest city of the country, will have a high of -4 degrees Celsius and a low of -13. Stepanakert will have a high of 8 and a low of -2. And our travel forecast takes us to the beautiful city of St. Petersburg, Russia, where the high will be 2 degrees Celsius and the low 1. St. Petersburg was originally settled by a subgroup of the Swedes called the Nenskans early in the 1600s. During the Great Northern War of 1703, Peter the Great of Russia conquered the small settlement, eventually making it the capital of the Russian Empire in 1712. For close to 2 centuries, St. Petersburg was the Russian Empire's commercial, cultural, and political center. The Russian Revolution of 1905 began in St. Petersburg and quickly spread throughout the empire, eventually deposing Tsar Nicholas II and ushering in a new era of Russian and world history. The largest Armenian community outside the motherland is in Russia. Armenians started settling in St. Petersburg in the early 1700s. In 1710, Armenians had already established offices and businesses, and by 1730, the first Armenian apostolic parish was established. Today, approximately 20,000 Armenians continue to live in St. Petersburg. And that is our digest for this Monday, February 10. We leave you today with a performance by the Academy Symphony Orchestra of St. Petersburg's Philharmonic of Sinfonietta in A minor by composer Nikolai Myaskovsky. Enjoy, and we will see you here tomorrow.